Good morning, good day, good evening. I'm not going to do the rest of the intro. We are going to start like 10 minutes ago, and then you got me sidetracked on asking stuff. How's it going? Welcome back to the show. Dark Xero, Tech Xero, creator of Xero Linux, whatever name you want to go by. How's it going? Welcome back to the show.
Glad to be back. You can call me anything you want.
I've got Dark
Dark
Xero on
Zero.
the screen right now. Use Tech Xero on Discord. I think you use
Yeah,
Dark Xero on your forum. I don't know.
yeah. It's Dark Zero in the Linux space. It's Dark Zero because when I first got started in Linux, I was like, yeah, I'm coming into something and I'm in the dark.
Right.
So I was like, what should I call myself? I don't want to call myself Tech Zero because Tech Zero is a general term for technology.
Yeah.
I wanted something for Linux. So I was like, I'm in the darkness, dark zero. So I came up with that and stuck with it ever since.
How long ago was that? I don't think I asked you that one last time.
A year and a half ago.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Today we actually have a topic planned out. Usually that doesn't happen. Usually I just go into these shows winging it. You were the one who asked me to come back on the show specifically to talk about something that I have been harping on about way too much on my channel that people are probably absolutely sick of hearing about me from, the Arch Linux grub issue. What a fun time that was. That happened it's gonna be about a month ago at this point. I don't even know. I've lost track of it.
2.5 weeks ago. 2.5 to 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, for anyone who somehow managed to miss that whole situation, the short story is that Arch Linux ships a Git version of Grub because Grub has not had a stable release in about 15 months. So they shipped this Git version of Grub, and the version they shipped is completely busted. If you reran grub make config without first running grub install, basically your system would either boot loop or you wouldn't be able to find the kernel. Basically, you wouldn't be able to boot the system. That's the main gist of it. And while this affected Arch Linux core to some extent, it affected the derivatives a lot quicker. The main Arch Linux was still going to be affected, it just wasn't going to be affected the same day. And you're a maintainer of one of these Arch derivatives, so I don't know, where do we start here? Do we start with what your initial reaction to the situation was, how this was addressed on your side, or where do you want to go with this?
Let's begin how I discovered the issue. I booted my computer in the store like I do every morning, and it's running my distro. So I started it up, and I went to do some stuff. I came back, I saw it on the BIOS. I was like, what is it doing on the BIOS? I rebooted the computer, and I saw it happen. I was like, okay, I must have done something wrong. Because my first reaction was, I must have done something wrong because I'm a maintainer. I mess with the system a lot. So I was like, I started going in circles trying to figure out what I did last and started troubleshooting myself. I couldn't find the cause of the issue, and all I could find was that it wasn't me. So what could it be? So I started digging on the internet on my phone because my computer was not running. I started digging on my phone. Nobody mentioned it at all.
So this would have been like
I discovered
the first day.
zero day issue. I was like, okay, let me do this again. First step I did was downgrade grub. I ch rooted into I booted my live ISO, ch rooted, and downgraded grub. It worked. So I was like, oh wow, that's an issue with grub. I haven't seen an issue with grub in ages. So I started mentioning it in my circles. They were like, no, we don't have any issue because they hadn't received the grub update yet. Because you know how it's region based, so each region receives an update differently than others. And then slowly it started showing up on my social circles. I was like, okay, I discovered. So I immediately posted about it on all my socials saying, don't update grub. So I went to Telegram where the developers are. So they told me, yeah, it's an issue with grub, and they pointed me to the specific commit that caused the issue. They switched from 2.06 to suddenly Git, and you start seeing R322, and a Git commit number, and I was like, okay, why the hell did they switch to a Git version of grub? I'm not very well known, so I knew that posting on their GitHub was not going to get me anywhere. So I told some of the maintainers of Manjaro and EndeavorOS to see what the hell's going on. They started pointing to the exact issue, and then Dalto posted on the
that's the EndeavorOS guy.
Bugs. No, Dalto is.
Didn't he write the
Manjaro.
write-up on EndeavorOS?
Yeah, no, Dalto didn't do the write-up. Joe did the write-up.
Oh, sorry. Okay, my bad.
Yeah, Joe Camprad. He is from EndeavorOS. But Dalto did the write-up on the bug tracker, on the Arch bug tracker. So they kept following up, but I was still working on Xero Linux on the beta versions and shipping the beta versions to my testers and whatnot. The decision we came up with is a little bit weird. I call it the Manjaro system. We had to hold back the grub package. That was one of the options suggested. So I had to go to a previous commit where before they switched to the Git, build grub, ship it on my distro while giving the ISO to my testers, so they end up with a working system. Because I started ending up with, I had other issues that you didn't mention that nobody saw. Was missing. You know how, I don't know, a few years back there was an issue with the locales and grub missing LC.
Okay.
Yeah. You had to input lang equals C in grub config.
Right.
That was an issue from years back. It creeped up on my system again.
Okay.
I started getting two grubs. One dark because I use a theme on grub.
Sure.
It started showing a dark grub. You hit enter on your selection. It freezes for 5 seconds and then shows another grub, a themed grub, the fallback basically.
Sure.
And it shows the correct one and it works. So I had one grub that is broken. It fell back on another grub that was working. So I didn't understand what the issue was.
Okay.
I started looking for the issue. Nobody had the issue. I then talked to some people in the development. They said, yeah, just add lang equals C in your grub config and you're good to go.
Sure.
I was like, I looked that issue up. That issue is like from 3-4 years ago. Why is it creeping up on my system today? It can't be related to the recent grub issue. It's totally unrelated.
Yeah, no, I've not heard anyone else mention that. If that was a problem other people were experiencing, I definitely would have heard about that one.
Yeah, well, since I was the only one, I was like, okay, my system just doesn't like grub anymore. I need to try to switch to system deboot. And then one of the guys on the team was like, okay, I'll post a video on how to switch to system deboot. I watched that video. He makes the videos for our channel.
Yeah.
I watched that video and I was like, I'm not switching to system deboot. I'm not doing anything manual. Thank you. Because with system deboot, you have to manually do the configuration file,
manually write the loader files,
the default. And every time you install a kernel, you have to do all the work.
Not necessarily. So, Arch Linux, this is a problem and also a benefit of Arch. A lot of distros like Ubuntu, for example, when you have a new kernel, it'll actually have the kernel version number as a part of the kernel name. That's a problem. But on Arch Linux, it just says Arch Linux kernel or something like that. So you don't actually need to update the version number as you update your kernel version. Otherwise,
no.
systemd would not be useful on Arch.
No, I was talking just you have to add if you, for example, you have the Arch kernel and then you want to add Zen, you have to add the entry for Zen
right, okay,
manually.
that's what you meant. Sure.
And then if you want to set it up as default, you have to edit the config file again.
Yeah.
So
okay.
it's
fair
not
enough.
automated. Yeah, it's not automated. I don't want to make. I don't want to ship a distro where manual work is required.
I think there might be some third-party tools to generate it, but I've not had any like personal experience with them.
Me neither. So I was like, stick to Grub. And Grub is the most robust thing. The situation with Grub and system deboot and other bootloaders is the same situation with Latte Dock and other docks. Latte being the king, the king of, or the queen of customization.
Yeah.
Everything else comes secondary. Grub is the king of bootloaders, basically. And everything else comes secondary if you wish to use whatever. But we started working on shipping. So I decided, okay, I would ship the pre-git commit version of Grub on my ISO when the public release, and I had to delay because of another issue we're going to talk about later. But I was like, okay, this is what's going to happen when release day comes. I'm going to be shipping the old version of Grub.
Yeah.
Then somebody pings me on Discord, tells me, hey, don't ship the old version of Grub because there's a lot of CVEs that haven't been fixed in the old version. There's a few important ones that have been in the Git version. So I was like torn between two decisions.
Yes.
I ship and
sorry. I was gonna say the when they started bringing in the Git stuff, the main reason why they introduced that issue where they had to basically break everything is one of the earlier commits they brought in had basically broken the boot time. So Grub was taking a really, really long time to get to the showing it actually on the screen. It was taking like 2 or 3 times as long to actually get to that phase. So they introduced that to deal with another issue, and then that new commit was to introduce to deal with that issue, and another commit to deal with that issue, and it's just like all of these commits sort of piled on top of each other to deal with these issues that only need to be here because the Grub team has taken 15 months to ship a new stable version of Grub. Why are we still on 2.06? Why are we jumping all the way up to 2.12? I don't understand why that's the case.
Me neither. And they are slating the 2.15 in 2.12, sorry, in October.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so in between that time we have to suffer all these issues. I couldn't understand it. And then when the guy started pointing fingers at us distro maintainers and saying, oh, there's no issue, it's distro maintainers' fault, they have to figure out the issue themselves. And how did they fix it? By giving you a message in terminal. Like, I'm a maintainer. I see how people use their distros. They, 0.1% maybe pay attention to the terminal output, but everybody else just hits update, they go by their day, they have their coffee, whatever. They never pay attention to the terminal. Some of them come back and say, "Oh, I ran update, but the password prompt timeout passed, and I didn't pay attention." And I'm like, so I know people don't read. So what the hell? A message is not enough.
Well, speaking from my personal experience, basically the only time I pay attention to the Pacman output is when there's a package conflict and it doesn't go forward, or I'm doing something from the AUR and a package doesn't build. Those are the only times I actually pay attention. Most of the time, it's just like, click yes, it just does its thing, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly. So the Arch people assumed, like I said in a previous interview, they assume too much. They assume the user pays attention. They assume that the user is knowledgeable enough. They assume this, they assume that. Stop assuming. The only thing you should assume is that the user behind the keyboard is dumb. Figure out ways to make them smart, like a pop-up, visual pop-up, like an annoyance somewhere. Annoy the user so they can read. If you don't annoy the user, they are not going to read.
I think just the basic A basic thing is just have the warning there in bright red text.
Yeah.
Simple
Either
thing.
that. Yeah,
Like,
that will do.
obviously, you can't. It's not Ubuntu, so you can't just assume there's going to be a certain environment with pop-ups and things like that working. But like, you're in a terminal, you can assume that they have color. Like, use the color. That's basic stuff.
But using the color, here's where using the color does not work.
Mm.
Using the color, because you have to take into account that users like
Yeah.
myself, I use lay-in for everything, including the console.
Sure.
So the lay-in colors, if they set it in red
Okay.
on their end, it'll come to me as blue or purple or
Okay, fair
whatever
enough.
other lay-in. So
But
the
either
idea
way,
is great.
Either way, it's not white. It's not the same color as the rest of the text. That's the important part.
Yeah.
It sticks out, no matter what the color is.
Yeah.
Assuming they're not using a monochrome theme, but please don't use a monochrome theme.
Who uses unless in console I see people using monochrome.
I've seen people use monochrome themes, yeah.
So in my and when it came to the hooks, you saw some maintainers coming up with the hook, and you saw it on my forum as part of the solutions.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a great idea, but this is what they're asking you to do. So in case we had the hooks in place or we didn't, it's the same thing. They have to run those exact commands every update of Grub.
For anyone who didn't see the hook you posted, just give a brief explanation of what your solution was for that.
Okay. The hook basically, what the hook basically does, it just instructs the system whenever you see an update for the Grub package, run the Grub install, and then after that, run the Grub mkconfig.
Mm-hmm.
Just only when there is an update to the Grub package.
Yeah.
The maintainers of Grub start attacking this method. They started saying it's not a great idea because in some situations this might break systems. I started doing my research on the subject because I don't want to ship something that would break people's systems. Those niche areas are very niche. The areas where the hooks will affect are when you have secure boot on.
Yes, absolutely.
Because on Arch you can still have secure boot on if you want to go through hell and back to set it up.
Sure, yeah.
In dual boot on the same drive.
Okay, yep.
With Windows on the same drive, and multi-booting multiple distros.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the three main areas where having the hooks might cause a problem.
What about not having your boot partition mounted all the time?
Oh, and that one too. Sorry, I forgot that one.
Yeah.
Some people don't have it mounted all the time. Those four situations, this is where I see that the hooks might break systems. But for Xero Linux users, I know that I have two of those four.
Okay.
The dual boot on the same drive and multi-booting distros. So Xero Linux, Endeavour OS, Arco Linux, whatever. Because if you have Grub installed via another distro and you're using the other distro's Grub, that might cause issues. So what I did, my solution was an intermediary one. I created a package called Grub Tools.
Okay.
I copied the name from Endeavour OS. Okay. But because one of the fixes in there is shared by Joe from Endeavour, was the fix that fixes the entries in Grub instead of being Xero Linux on Linux. It's just Xero Linux.
Right.
I don't know why they do this. I still don't understand it, but whatever. They figured out a fix and they shared it with me. So, but the package is called Grub Tools. What does it have? It has multiple hooks. I created multiple hooks, not only one or two. There's a hook that does the Grub install once there's and a Grub mkconfig once there's a package update for Grub, and then it has other hooks where it updates Grub. So basically, the mkconfig every time there's a kernel update, or they install a new kernel, and there's mkconfig on some multiple times mkconfig
Yep,
for
yep.
each one for different reasons. Users can uninstall this package if they fall under those four different situations.
Mhm.
I mentioned it on the release notes that I'll be sharing publicly once the ISO is out. The packet, I did a vote
Mhm.
on my socials. I said, do you prefer the hooks in place or without the hooks? And I
Mhm.
explained what would happen without the hooks. Without the hooks, you would have to, the responsibility will fall on you, the user, the end user, to run grub install and grub mkconfig
Mhm.
once grub receives an update. And in case you install a new kernel, you should run the mkconfig manually. So
Mhm.
everything falls on your shoulders if you choose to not to use the hooks. The hooks are so. Which one do you vote for? The overwhelming people went for the hooks.
Mhm.
They don't want to bother with any of that, remembering to run this or that. So it's not me who decided; they decided.
Sure, sure.
I just didn't want to have this on my shoulders, so I put it in on the users. And I explained what automation versus non-automation means, so they understand, so everything is clear. I'm not
Yep,
lying,
yep.
hiding anything. So they decided for the hooks, and I told the users, if you fall under these four categories, please uninstall grub tools first thing post-install.
Yep.
Done deal. This is my solution. It's a very user-friendly solution. It's in between
Mhm.
until the grub team figure out a solution. If they wanna, the grub team wanna attack me for including the hooks, they can't because I put both scenarios at play. So users who want to use them keep using them. Users who don't want to use them, they can uninstall them. It's quite simple. It's not like something I'm forcing on the user. It's embedded in the OS. So it was, in short, the responsibility fell on us to
Mhm.
figure out a situation. Each distro, like Endeavor OS, for example, they went vanilla.
Mhm.
They did the opposite. They went vanilla grub. They removed their tweaks. They removed their grub tools. They removed their theming. They went back vanilla. They just applied a wallpaper to a vanilla grub.
Mhm.
This is one way of doing it. I was thinking, I thought to myself, why do it that way? Users are used to having the theme, are used to a certain quality of work.
Sure,
So I
sure.
was like, okay, so that's what you have. You fall under these categories. Remove it. Done deal. Figure the things out on your. This is what you will have to do if you choose not to use them.
Mhm.
That's it. It's up to you. So yeah, this is one way of doing it. Other distros, I don't know what they did. Like I'm looking into Manjaro. I don't know what they did.
Well, last I heard, they had the package in testing. The broken grub package in testing. This is one of the times where Manjaro being Manjaro actually did something good. They kept the broken package in testing, it got tested, and then they didn't push it to stable. Which is the way that testing is supposed to work, Manjaro. You did it once, you did it correctly once, do this again into the future. I don't know what they're shipping right now, actually. I'm gonna check the Manjaro
Know what
repos.
they're shipping right now? They're shipping 261,
Oh, okay.
not
Uh,
even 297.
uh,
That's
oh,
that's a week ago. This is as of a week ago.
uh, really? It's a, like, when, why can I not find it? No, not Arch Linux. Show, I know that Manjaro has a web thing to
They
show
have
their package list.
R261.
Sorry?
They have R261 on their.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the best version.
Mhm.
I would agree. That's the best version. Uh,
That's crazy that
I,
they decided to go back that far.
well,
I
there's
guess
only
that
two
goes back
versions.
before
Three
the
commits.
it.
It's three commits back.
Well, yeah, but I guess it's best to do that rather than going with 297 because 297 not 297 was it? Wait,
322.
which was the first broken one? Was it 297?
322. 322 dash one.
Yeah. Um. Well, the one of the commits was really slow. Then you had the commit that broke
Yeah.
things.
It's
261, I
the
think, is the last safe commit that doesn't involve
yeah,
messing with stuff.
yeah,
And I think for Manjaro,
yeah.
uh, and for, I guess for Arch Linux, it makes sense to fix things yourself. And for EndeavourOS, I can kind of see that as well. But Manjaro is this, it's trying to be sort of like the rolling Ubuntu. And it really doesn't make any sense for a distro like Manjaro to try to push that fix onto their users. Like, that's not what that distro is trying to be. I think it is definitely safer for them to just stick with the thing that works and then just wait out the problem pretty much as long as they possibly can.
So yeah, Manjaro being Manjaro, this is where it is better to be with Manjaro than and some people mentioned, I didn't see it, but I could be wrong. But some people mentioned that the grub issue made it into some Fedora spins.
I had not heard that one. If that's the case, yeah, I definitely not heard that one. Jeez.
Maybe it made it into the what's it called? The version of Fedora that ships all the latest and greatest like Arch. I forgot what it's called.
Yeah, I'm looking at the. I finally found the Manjaro repo. It's shipping right now. R261. That was as of 6 days ago.
Yeah, like I said, R261.
Jesus. They did go up to 297 for a bit, and then even up to 3.2, and then reverted all the way back. Jeez.
Manjaro.
Look, I think the derivatives did an exceptional job here. Whether it's EndeavourOS getting their write-up out very quickly, whether it's Manjaro actually doing their testing repos properly. Actually, did you see what's the guy's name who runs Xero Linux?
Eric.
Yeah, his YouTube channel, when the grub issue was happening, had like 10 videos explaining how to fix the problem. He had a video out way before I had anything out. The problem is that he's really bad at YouTube, and no one saw the video. Like, that's the only issue.
Yeah, Eric, he's good at doing that.
Yeah.
He creates playlists. What I love about Eric, he's very organized, and he creates playlists for everything. He created around 4 or 5 videos specifically for the grub issue. And first, he attempted to post the solution where downgrade grub, chroot, downgrade grub, boot back again into your system, and you're good, and hold the package. Then, as I was talking to him as he was making the videos. Since I am based on a project by Xero Linux, I am always in contact with Eric. I told him about the other solution. He posted a video about the other solution, stuff like. And I love how he does things. And now, in a bit, we're going to talk about another issue that creeped up. It's not an issue. It's more like 21 years too late. But the solutions are out there. Each distro is applying them differently. So we just have to wait and see now what the grub maintainers will decide, which fix they will decide on. But what I love about the Core ISO team on Telegram is they are up to date, commit by commit. Commit by commit. Every time there's a commit upstream on something we rely on, they share it. So I'm really happy to be part of that group, although it's just a group for Calamares. But sometimes we talk non-Calamares stuff because it's related to our stability and stuff like that. But yeah, grub issue was a nightmare. Now everything has settled. We each figured out a fix, a temporary fix, until things completely get fixed. But which I want to transition to the new issue called glibc.
What is the glibc issue? Glibc's had a bunch of issues recently. Specifically, what is the issue that you're mentioning?
It's not the easy anti-cheat issue. That's what you're wondering.
Sure.
When they broke the easy anti-cheat, that was the bigger nightmare. This one is a smaller one. Apparently, there was a method of generating locales 21 years ago on glibc. It was in 2001.
Right.
But it stayed there, ignored for 21 years, and now it shows up on Arch.
Ah.
So it's not an issue for users and users.
Right.
It's an issue for us builders. That's why it's not a big issue.
Yeah, I'd not heard about this at all.
Yeah, because it only affects builders. It doesn't affect the end user. But the thing is with glibc, with as of 236-4, it changes the way it applies this locales thing from 21 years ago. It changes the way it's just a small generation thing. The way it generates, it looks for a certain file. If it's there, it does its thing. If it's not there, it breaks.
Right.
What this caused for us builders is since Calamares doesn't know of this method, so Calamares has to be updated to address the issue. But it adds a trailing space and backslash for all the locales.
Right.
So what this causes is, of course, if you select English US with a space and a backslash, the system doesn't know what this is. So you will be able to install the system, and once you boot into the system and you run, let's say, top grade or sudo pacman syu, instead of getting this pacman eating the dots, you will get question marks because it doesn't know what locale to use. And some applications, when you run them, like GTK applications, when you run them, they would crash because the locale is like, what? What is that locale? Backslash space? I don't know what that is. So the way to fix it is very easy. Hold back the package again. So we're holding another package back.
Holding glibc back is actually that's a much bigger problem though. Holding grub back's fine, but glibc is sort of
just one
basis for a lot of stuff.
Like for building, we're using glibc 236-3.
Yes.
And then it will show up as an update will show up post install. You can update safely, no problem.
Right.
But it's only for us builders.
Oh, okay, right, okay.
Because it causes Calamares to not understand the locales.
Right, so you generate the locales first, and then when you update, because the locales generated doesn't cause an issue.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Something like that. Yeah. So the commit hasn't been reverted, but it was fixed. It was upstream, not on Arch, but upstream. They applied a new commit. That's what I meant by saying that the maintainers on the core ISO group are following Git commit by commit. They sent me the commit last night. They showed me that it's fixed upstream. They just Arch needs to package it up and push it on their repos. And sometimes Arch can take a week or two to do that.
Arch is weird sometimes about packaging.
In the meantime, what?
I was saying Arch is weird sometimes about packaging. Sometimes it's out the day of. Other times it's like, hey, there was an issue I think last year where Arch was running like a 7-month out-of-date version of glibc. So their entire C toolchain was completely out of date because the rest of the toolchain was using that older version. I don't remember exactly when the issue was, but I know I did a video on that back when it happened.
Same thing happened with Python when they updated Python to 3.10.
Yeah, I love the 3.10 issue. That was fun. Whenever I mention that issue, a lot of people don't realize, like, a lot of people just forgot it happened. Like, they blanked out of their mind, like, what do you mean Python broke things? Like, yeah, that happened. That definitely happened.
As a result, we had to update we had to wait for Arch to update every single Python-based package on their repositories. And that was a nightmare and a half. And I wasn't going to backport a few hundred Python packages.
That'd be a mess to do that.
Yeah, so we had to wait. Tell the people, don't update, and send the message out. But with glibc, this is a very minor issue. Users will not see the issue at all. It's just us maintainers and builders of ISOs that are having to hold the package locally. The way I did it was I built the previous. I didn't build. When you're building an ISO, it caches all the packages that it's including on the ISO in your
Sure.
Pacman cache. So I took the glibc-3, 2.36-3, the working version. I took it, put it on my repository, and I put my repository up on top during the build process. So it uses that one instead of the one on the public repositories.
Right.
So it's using the -3 for building. And after you install, the user installs the system, just update as you normally do, and everything is good with the world. But for us builders, that adds another hoop to jump.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, a lot of, but why 21 years too late? I don't get it. Dalto pointed us to the commit that was done 21 years ago, and I'm like, okay, 21 years. That's a hell of a long time to hold on to a commit. But well, yeah, but if, they're pushing a fix soon, hopefully. And because I'm releasing I had to delay the ISO because of that issue. I was supposed to release it last Thursday, but I had to postpone it a week to see if they would fix the issue. They didn't, so I had to ship an older version, older version of libc.
So with issues like this, how often are you actually seeing problems like this arise when you're trying to build a distro? Is it like this thing you hopefully see every couple of months, or is it actually a fairly common occurrence?
Not a common occurrence, thank the Lord. But it's the nature of the beast. I call it the nature of the beast because we're using Arch.
Yes.
And this is how Arch is and forever will be, because this is the price to pay for extremely fast rolling releases. You got rolling release like I watched your video last night about what was it? I forget. No, it was TechHut's video. TechHut's video about OpenSUSE and Fedora.
Right.
And OpenSUSE is a rolling release, but not exactly. It's a Manjaro style rolling release.
Sure. Okay.
They hold back a few packages. So now more than ever, I believe in holding back packages. Us maintainers, we see the back end of things. Users don't understand. The users are okay. So it's a rolling release. That's what I expect. This is what I expect. I expect the latest version, the bleeding edge. I don't want to wait. That's it. But if you don't mention it, if you hold back a package without mentioning it, especially for new users who don't understand, know the difference between a tomato and a cucumber, so you just don't mention it. You hold back a package. Wait. This is what maintainers should do. Maintainers are the people who make sure that the distro is stable. The end result is stable for users. It's not your job to. Sometimes I'm a little bit too transparent with my users. Every step of the way, everything I do, I share. I pushed this. I updated that. I held back this, and I modified this. I share everything because I like to be transparent with my users. Especially that I don't sign my packages on my repositories, and some users don't like that. They prefer signed packages to build trust. But that's a virtual thing. That's not a real thing. With or without a signature, some people can still give you malicious stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So because I don't sign my packages, I have to build trust somewhere else. So by sharing everything I do and seeing that I'm very transparent, the users are going to build trust slowly like that. But sometimes I'm a little bit too transparent. For example, when I hold back a package, I shouldn't mention it because some users are going to see it negatively. they're gonna think I'm starting to become Manjaro. And I don't know why there's this hate thing about Manjaro. Okay, hate the company, but don't hate the product.
Sure.
If the product is good and works, I've had it for 2 years on my system, on my home theater system. I've been updating. I only update once a month,
Mhm.
and I get 2 GB updates at once. I never had any issue, not a single one.
I think the issue with Manjaro isn't when you're doing a specific use case like that. Like if I was to build a capture PC, for example, having Manjaro on that would work just fine. The issue you can see with Manjaro is when you're using it as a desktop system and heavily making use of the AUR. Because these packages are being held back, that's in many cases arbitrarily held back, because the packages don't like align with what's supposed to be there on
Yeah,
Arch.
the
That's when
dependencies.
things don't play nicely.
Yeah, especially when it comes to dependencies.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But I think
but
what you're saying about selectively holding things back, that's very different to what Manjaro is doing. Manjaro is delaying the whole like basically the whole repo, whereas you're selectively holding things back that are nuisance packages like grub, for example, and there might be glibc in the building case. This is very different to what Manjaro is doing. I think what you're doing is what a distro maintainer should be doing. I do agree with you there. Like, you shouldn't just be like, oh, this is the latest version, it's completely busted. Enjoy. That's not my problem now. That's just the latest. It's not my problem. I can't
yeah,
do it.
but
It's Upstream's problem.
you have to think you have to think about it this way.
Hmm.
You have to think about it that users don't know.
Yeah.
Users know that a package is being held back. They don't know
Mm.
why. They don't know. They think that holding back a package, no matter the reason, is doing the Manjaro thing. This is new users. I'm not talking about users who know Manjaro, who have the experience with Linux. I'm talking about new users. They
Mm-mm.
hate Manjaro because they never get the latest kernel the day it's released. They never get the latest version of every single package.
Mm-hmm.
If you hold one package, they're gonna immediately compare it to Manjaro. You got this kind of users, and you got haters, and then you got people who don't care, and you got various types of people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, our job is to explain to users the end result, not the reasons why. You tell them
Mm-hmm.
the system is stable for you, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay, then what are you complaining about?
Hmm.
Done. This is what Manjaro tried to do. Uh, I agree with Manjaro's holding back, but you should. And the thing that Manjaro should do,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, is they should make it even more apparent. The AUR is there. Use it at your own risk. It's not highly recommended uh, due to us holding back packages.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you use the AUR, use it at your own risk. Stuff like that. They don't put all these notices up. They
There's
just
certainly information on their
don't
wiki
use
and
the
forum and
AUR.
places like that, but yeah, I agree that like in Hamac, for example, like if you enable AUR downloads, it should be like, warning, this is not supported on this operating system. We hold back packages because of whatever reason they want to say. If you do this,
A pop-up, yeah,
it is on you.
yeah, a pop-up. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
recently, that's another thing that I had to. This is, I don't know. It's I think affecting the downloads a little bit
Mhm.
for my distro. But I recently decided to no longer provide support for hybrid setups,
Mm.
meaning the distro will support it, but I don't have the knowledge because I don't have the hardware.
Hybrid setups as in
I don't have
hybrid
the
graphics? Like,
yeah,
yep, yep, okay.
dual graphics like Intel
Yep,
AMD,
yep, yep.
Intel NVIDIA, and stuff like that. I cannot provide support for that.
Mhm.
It's You want to use Xero Linux on your hybrid system, even though technically it's possible. But since I don't have the hardware, I don't by extension I don't have the knowledge. So you'll have to figure things out on your own.
Mhm.
I ship it and I recently included MHWD. I don't know if you know what MHWD is. Manjaro hardware detection. This is
Okay,
the
okay.
tool they use on the back end to detect what hardware you have and install the appropriate drivers for.
Right.
But they do it on install time.
Oh, is that
I
how?
do it post install.
Hmm.
So the way I do it post-install is I offer it to the users in my new tool. A developer finished the tool for me. You click a button. So I explain to the users, there's a button that takes you to the driver install page. You click, if you have Intel or ATI or AMD, it's free open source drivers. You click on that free open source drivers, it's going to detect what drivers what hardware you have, install the appropriate drivers.
Mm-hmm.
Without Intel, without Nouveau. I removed the Intel and Nouveau drivers because those are shit. Mesa handles those way better than the drivers.
Mm-hmm.
But for NVIDIA and AMD Pro, the proprietary graphic GPUs, you click on the non-free button, it's going to install whatever. But for hybrid, that's a totally different story. For hybrid, the way Manjaro has it in MHWD is you click the button, it's going to install all the open source and free drivers under the sun.
Right.
And then the proprietary drivers for your proprietary DGPU.
Yeah.
And then Optimus and NV Control. So for some systems, NV Control works. For other systems, Optimus works.
Mm-hmm.
For Optimus systems, Optimus works. For non-Optimus, it's NV Control. But they install everything. And the system will activate. Yeah, and the system will activate the right ones for you. Mm-hmm. I'm not knowledgeable enough how to fix that. Just install the stuff that you need, and everything else don't install. But if the users don't use them, just uninstall them. Mm-hmm. But the problem with that, for me, I don't know. Some users come to me, tell me Optimus doesn't work. It's not launching. How do you fix that? I don't know. I don't have hardware to come up with a solution. I see some solutions that people talk about online. Switch from SDM to LightDM. That might fix the issue. So I tell my users switch to LightDM from SDDM. It works. Sometimes it works. When it doesn't, that doesn't work. I tell them, okay, that's on you. Buy me a laptop, an Optimus laptop, and I'll give you the solution. But without hardware to test on and to experience firsthand, how am I to tell you which works and which doesn't? So I decided to, for now, until I am able to get a Optimus laptop of sorts, for now, I will not be providing support for that. And this is hurting a little bit the distro, because the way they read into it is, okay, so Xero Linux does not support hybrid graphics. I'm like, no, it does, but I don't have the knowledge to show you how. So
I think that's much better to be doing than providing, like, you could either provide no solution or a half-baked solution. Like,
no half-baked. I don't like half-baked.
I think the half-baked solution would honestly be worse, because with no solution, they can be like, okay, there's no solution, but this is based on Arch, I can do it myself. With a half-baked solution, it's like, okay, this is not working, I don't know why this is not working, I'm just going to use something where it does.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm sorry, but buy me a laptop and I'll be able to help you. But still, some users are agreeing with the idea. They were like, yeah, I have friends of friends of friends who have Optimus laptop. They will show me the solution. Or they go to the Arch Wiki. And the Arch Wiki is not as user-friendly as people think it is. It's very technical, and they assume, again, that you have some sort of Linux knowledge.
I think that's very dependent on the page. I do agree that when I was trying to set up Optimus on my laptop, I never managed to get it working. But when I was trying to do it, yeah, for that it is very technical. But I think that's also due to the fact that setting up Optimus is very technical. Like, you have to be a really technical user to know how to set up hybrid graphics. Or setting up different bootloaders, like, you want to switch from Grub to Refined, for example, or Refined to System Deboot. Like, these are fairly complex operations. But when we're talking more about something like reconfiguring your mirrors, it still does make assumptions about you understanding what mirrors are and why you would care about them, but it's a lot less. I think it is more user friendly in that case, because that is a more user friendly operation.
Yeah, it's a very simple operation. Edit it. But I made even that easier for the user. I just added a button in the tool. You click it, it will do rate mirrors. It will do rate mirrors, and it will populate it with the fastest mirrors.
Oh, you got my fastest speed?
And
Okay.
for fixing the GNU PG keys, you just click a button. It's gonna do it all for you. All that is thanks to Eric, because he made videos about them, so I integrated them in Xero Linux. This is what I call Eric should be the example to follow in the Arch universe. Like, instead of hating on people, a user posting an issue on the forum and replying with hate to that user. If you don't know how to do this, you shouldn't be using Ubuntu or whatever. You shouldn't be using Linux. Go back to Windows and stuff like that. Like Eric, for example, for the Arch people, go to Eric's YouTube. All the solutions he posts work on every single Arch-based distro under the sun, because it's Arch solutions, not Arco solutions. It's not Arco-specific solutions. It's Arch. It's generalized solutions, so you can use them on Endeavor. You can use them on anything but Manjaro. Because Manjaro they do things different.
Manjaro's not Arch. Manjaro's Arch like Ubuntu is Debian. Like, they're technically based on, like, Ubuntu is technically based on Debian. It technically builds its repos from Debian, but it's not Debian. And the same is true for Arch. Same is true for Manjaro. Yeah. It builds its repos from Arch, but it's not Arch. It uses a separate set of repos.
Yeah, so for anything else, those solutions work. I applied a lot of those solutions on my distro. I applied them on Endeavor OS. They all work. So if you want a knowledge base that is very friendly and very extremely dumbed down to such a point that even a kid can understand, go to Eric's channel. It's 3,000 videos and growing. Now 33,005.
So, yeah, Eric his channel's great, but as I said before, he's really bad at YouTube. That's his only problem. No one watches his videos because his videos are not, like, hitting the YouTube search optimization or the search algorithm.
So they're not shared. They're not. He just puts them on his Discord.
They're great videos, but no one knows they're great because no one sees them.
Yeah, he needs to advertise them more. He needs to spread them more, because for that kind of library, he shouldn't have only 15K subscribers. He should have 1.5 million subscribers. Well, because the amount of knowledge there is on that channel alone rivals only the Arch Wiki.
Well, just basic stuff like I'm gonna pick a random video. Arco Linux 3004 left WM DB Nemesis theme and Python Py will change look your terminal. I think he's actually hit the character limit for a YouTube title.
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah, some of those videos, or a lot of his videos are not very important to like.
Well, even the ones that are important, like the Grub one.
The Grub one, yeah. But I'm saying there's a lot of his videos where he talks about left WM, he talks about DWM, those are not very important. Those are very targeted at users who use those. But for general knowledge, there's at least half of them, 1,500 videos, that are very important to watch. Like, he's got the Grub issues, he's got the glibc issue, he's got the Python issue and a fix for that. He's got the Grub customizer issue where it broke due to the Grub update. All these important issues are there. You just have to search his channel. Yeah, you have to use the search a lot on his channel. You cannot just keep on scrolling and scrolling, or else you'll grow old before you reach the video
his entire description is in the title, so it should be easy enough to search for.
Well, yeah, but because of the sheer amount of videos, you have to scroll forever.
No, I can respect the fact that he does multiple videos a day. Like, what is, like, there's some days where there's like 3 videos that come out. Like, what is this? How do you have? How there's so many here?
There was a day where he created 7 videos. And what I love about Eric, instead of answering the users to address an issue directly on Discord or on his forums, he makes a video.
Yeah, I think that's a much better way to
Here's
do it, because you're always going to have more and more, like, especially if it's a big issue, like the grub issue, for example. He would have had a bunch of people come and ask him, like, hey, how do I fix this? 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 Watch the video. Just send them a link. That's all you need to do now.
Yeah. I love that about Eric. I love it. I love it. I always find the solution for my issue just 2 days after the issue arises, because he makes a video. A guy asks, why isn't my right click work, my context menu working? Here's the fix. He makes a video.
Specific video to make.
And what I love about the way he does videos, he just turns on simple screen recorder and he starts working on showing the fix.
Yeah.
He is very natural. He doesn't pretend anything. He doesn't overdo it. He doesn't create an OBS backdrop or design or whatever. He just turns on simple screen recorder. Does it. No. No, but I'm talking about myself, because I told you earlier before we started the stream that for the Linux experiment, I'm working overtime to make sure the design is good. I even added, those circuit board transparent backgrounds to show that I'm a geeky person. I added them to the backdrop. I added an animated backdrop and stuff like that. This is going overboard. I was talking about myself, actually. He doesn't do that. He just turns on simple screen recorder, does his thing, turns it off, done deal, call it a day. Yeah. That's why he comes up with videos so quickly, because all he has to do is launch an app, click record, done. So that's why sometimes he ends up with a muted video, because he forgets to enable the audio, and because he switches between machine and machine and machine and machine. He forgets to increase the microphone volume or whatever. So he doesn't fix them. He just leaves them, and he adds muted to the title. So that's it. He's so natural. He's like, I don't care. If they cannot hear what I'm saying, the solution is visual in front of their face. So words need not be spoken.
But he actually, I didn't realize he actually did that. I'm looking at it right now. He does just add mute to some of them. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and some of them are like 40 minutes, 30-minute videos, and 30 minutes of muted. I'm like, okay.
That's awesome.
So he is such a, how should I put it? He's متواضع. How do you say متواضع in English? Humble. He's so humble. He just does his thing and continues by his day. He's very simple. He doesn't overcomplicate things, and I love that about him. I overcomplicate things, because today I received a message on Telegram about I shared the upcoming ISO with a few users. I deleted the ISO now, but I shared it for a short while with a few users, and the first thing I get is there's no transparency on this ISO. I don't like it. I'm like, there is transparency. If you are used to Kevantum, which we used to use in every release, now we're using Lightly. So Dolphin, by extension, is not going to be completely transparent. Just the sidebar is going to be transparent. That's the way it should be. Because with Kevantum, I noticed something that tabs, you cannot tell tabs apart, because everything is treated as one block. So if you open tabs, you got titles of tabs, but you cannot tell a tab from the other. There's no outline. So I'm like, I love the transparency of Kevantum and everything, but I need to tell my tabs apart. What utility can I use instead of this? Somebody tells me about Lightly. I install Lightly. I use the default settings. I didn't even touch it. It's so good out of the box that I was like, okay, I'm including it on the next ISO. Removing Kevantum, and the thing with Lightly is if you have Kevantum and Lightly installed together, they don't like each other. Like they're not friends, because if you have a dark theme set, it's gonna undo your dark theme. It's gonna undo your icons. So the system does not understand it, because I think they both hook into the same thing. So even if you have only one of them active and the other isn't active, but having them installed together is just like putting two things at war with each other.
Right.
So I had to remove Givantum, but this time around, instead of, because I have a reset switch or reset option in the tool, if you mess up, if you try to, okay, I don't like your rice, I want to do my own rice, but you mess things up. You click a button in the tool, it should reset everything to ISO defaults.
Yo.
But this time, instead of forcing the current defaults, some users prefer the previous defaults, where I use KDE panel on top and only the latte dock. And with the latte dock developer main maintainer leaving the thing, now it's not dead. I've been following the GitHub activity. It's community driven now. Until KDE picks it up. But now there are commits provided, pull requests and stuff like that by the community. So since it's still alive, somewhat, it's holding on by dear life, I still shipped it with the ISO, but users don't want to use latte panel, latte dock, because it uses too much resources.
Right.
So if people, the previous layout was KDE panel, latte dock. So less resource use. So they want to go back to that default. So now they have the option in the reset, apply previous defaults. So it's going to go KDE panel, latte dock. So our job as maintainers is to read people and see what is feasible, what isn't feasible, but listen to the users. If you don't listen to the users, you're going to end up with hate more than... And you're going to end up people not using your distro. This is not good. So I listened to the users, and even I listened to users who told me were running rate mirrors was not coming out with a verbose output because I had the flag no verbose. They were like, oh, I'm typing my password, but nothing's happening. I was like, because I told it not to be verbose, because if it is verbose, it's going to include all the hashtag comments in the Pacman mirror list. They were like, we don't care. Those are just ignored, right? Because they're hashtag. I was like, yeah. They were like, show us a verbose output. So I listened to the users, so I made it verbose. You have to listen to the users. Sometimes you have to tell the user, I'm sorry, but that cannot be done. Unfortunately,
sometimes
it cannot be done.
Stupid.
True. Look,
I'm
a
sure
lot of them can be sometimes.
I think the problem, I think there is a point where you have to listen to the feed. This is the same on YouTube. It's the same with pretty much anything where other people are involved. I think you have to listen to the feedback. That is very important. Always listen to the feedback you're getting. But you also have to weigh that feedback against what they actually want. Because a lot of the time, people say they want one thing, but what they actually want is something completely different. Or you'll get a very small subset of people who say they want this thing, but most other people are fine with the way it is, or even prefer it to be something completely different. It's very difficult. I'm sure it's the exact same with a distro. It's very difficult to work out exactly what people are trying to say and what the general consensus for anything you're doing actually is.
There's I would agree, because there are users on the team who made it to the team. For example, one of the users made it into the team because he is very good at security related issues, and he's got the idea that Xero Linux should include at least the minimum amount of security.
Sure.
I'm like, me as a person, don't care about security. I have nothing to hide. I have my Windows install is talk as it can be, telemetry and all. I'm like, Microsoft, you want to read what I'm typing? Go ahead. I'm not talking about my family. I'm not talking about religion or politics. So I'm just talking Linux. I'm talking Windows. I'm talking games. So I don't care if they collect telemetry. They know where I am. Just by having a smartphone, they already know everything about you. So there's no sense in securing something if you already own a cell phone. a smartphone.
Mm.
By owning a smartphone, you already compromise your security, your anonymity, or whatever you call it. So what's another system that's going to do that? It's already done. If Apple has your information, but Apple is in cahoots with Google, is in cahoots with Microsoft, is in cahoots. So they already know everything there is to know about you. If you have Windows, it's just you're already done. So I told the guy, this is the way I think. But some users, I agree, they care about their security. They have certain ways to circumvent stuff. I was like, how about a compromise? I ship Xero Linux with absolutely no security. Not absolutely no security. I mean the defaults of Arch.
Sure. Yeah.
And then we write a detailed thread guide on the forums showing users who care about security how to secure their system. Instead of doing it by default, because there might be some users like myself who hate anything related to security because it slows down their system. It's more processes running on the background. It's more whatever. I don't even ship a firewall on my distro. You want a firewall? You can click a button in my tool. Simply because I want Xero Linux to be as light as possible. And I achieved that. People keep coming to me telling me, how the hell did you make KDE behave so fast? I've run Manjaro KDE, I've run Endeavor KDE, I've run multiple other distros with KDE. They are slow AF on my computer, and they're talking about their old systems. I'm not talking about newer systems, but on my old system, your distro is faster than any other distro with KDE. I'm like, this is what you get if you don't enable a million services in the background for security, for firewall, for this, for that. And then you start adding stuff. It's up to you. You shape it. This is the whole goal behind Xero Linux. So I'm like, okay. So he agreed, and he wrote a thread on the forum showing users how to secure their system. No other users talked about security. They were like, we're using Xero Linux and we're happy with it. Nobody had a concern about security. Only he did. That's why his nickname is Secnav. So he cares about security. Okay, use the forums and show people how to do it. But sometimes users come to you. I want, for example, I want Plank. I don't want Lattedoc. I cannot ship Plank because it hasn't been updated in ages, and it has this bug where it shows the Plasma shell as a dock icon randomly. I'm like, yeah, and it doesn't run on Wayland. So for users who want to use Wayland, it doesn't work. It just has no Wayland code because they stopped developing it way before Wayland became a thing.
Looking at the Arch wiki right now, on Wayland, it may fail with the following error. You can run it on Wayland, but you need to force it to run under X Wayland.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to ship that on Xero Linux. The Lattedoc just works on Wayland. Okay, sometimes on Wayland it runs in a window at the bottom. They fixed that bug ages ago, but some users are using an older version. I tried Ksmooth Doc. I showed the users all of that. I showed them, here, I'm trying Ksmooth Doc. Maybe I replaced Latte with Ksmooth Doc. Ksmooth Doc is more broken than Plank. So I'm like, here, I tried CairoDoc. Because DT made a video about CairoDoc recently. I don't know why. It's something that is at least 15, 20 years old. But it doesn't work. So back to Latte we go. So I showed users every step of the way.
Doc, isn't it?
CairoDoc, yeah. And Ksmooth Doc is a Qt-based doc, but it has no features whatsoever. You right-click on an icon, it freezes. You click on an icon once, doesn't launch. You have to click it multiple times to get it to launch. So, and it's got this shadow thing that breaks the look and doesn't work. I tried everything. I showed the users. I tried everything. Nothing works better than Latte. Sorry, I have to ship Latte. They were like, yeah, ship Latte, keep what works. I'm like, you should have told me that from the get-go. Why did I try all these docs? So sometimes, yeah, users can be, they don't know what happens because here's the thing with users. They don't know what's happening on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
On the back end, to them, they can see what is on the front end. They see how it looks. Oh, this looks good. This looks better. Whatever. Ship this. Ship that. Oh yeah, but that's a screen. You're sending me a screenshot from like 5 years ago. I checked the code; it hasn't been updated since, so I cannot ship that on Xero Linux. So yeah, they have to understand the back end. If they don't understand the back end, there's no way you can convince them that what you're shipping is the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I try my best to be as transparent as possible. Now I want to ask you something
Yes,
because I've been talking for a while.
you have been. It's great. I've been just sitting here. It's nice. I can just chill.
Uh, you've seen the recent hubbub, people liking Fedora and Fedora-based distros.
I have seen a lot of. There are a lot of people on my Discord who are very big Fedora shills right now. I've got some guys who are using Fedora Silverblue. There seems to be a lot of hype around Fedora. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but Nobara specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Nobara, the glorious egg roll version of Fedora.
I haven't seen as much about that, but I have heard a little
The
bit.
Linux
Yes.
Cast made a video. The Linux Cast made a video recently about it, and Tech Hut also made a video about it. Oh, finally, a stable, amazing distro, whatever for my laptop. It's one of his latest videos, like 2 videos ago. Nobara is what he was talking about.
Yeah.
I installed Nobara, used it for 4 days. It's an amazing distro. Fedora spin. I've run a lot of Fedora spins. This is the most stable one yet for my system. I don't know about other systems, but for my system with an NVIDIA card, Fedora, because I use the KDE always. I don't use any other desktop environment. So the KDE spin of Fedora, the regular one, just freezes on boot. I cannot use it. Booting the live ISO, it freezes because I have an NVIDIA card. I booted Nobara. It just booted just fine, installed the system, and then prompted me. It said, oh, we detected you have an NVIDIA card. Do you want to install the drivers? I clicked, okay. It did the drivers, and now I'm running it. And something magical happened. You know how last time I told you I can't log in to Wayland?
You did say that, yes.
Well, with Nobara, I was able to.
Wow.
That is something that I have not had a single distro KDE that uses KDE doing. That's the only one. The only one. And of course, Wayland being Wayland with NVIDIA, I open NVIDIA settings. It doesn't give me anything. It just tells me that's the card you have. Do with what you want, but that's all we're going to give you. Switch to X11, you got all the settings and everything. You can do whatever you want. But go to Wayland, nothing. It's like, okay, we give you a glimpse of Wayland, but that's all you get. So I was like, cool. What I loved about Wayland, though, is it remembers where Windows, on which monitor the windows were open. Like, if I open Discord on the left monitor, it remembers it's on the left monitor.
Oh, there must be a KDE thing, yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking KDE.
Yeah.
Because in KDE on X11, it doesn't remember.
Sure.
It doesn't.
No, I'm trying to think about why it's like that. Yeah, I'm not sure why they can do that on Wayland. Yeah, I'm not actually sure.
Because I think in Wayland, they all, like you said in one of your Wayland many Wayland videos, they open in a X Wayland container, window container. I think that's why they remember. But on X11, I open Discord on the left monitor, reboot shut down the computer, come the next day, open Discord, it opens on the right monitor.
I guess I'm just too used to a tiler where it just opens on the monitor that I'm currently focused on.
Yeah, I'm not KDE. I think it's a KDE issue. But KDE and Wayland, it works just fine. And the smoothness that I got on Wayland is unparalleled.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can't use half my apps and if I can't control my graphic card through the settings, what's the use of Wayland?
Sure.
It's got a lot of limitations. I get it. It's good. It's getting there. But in one of your many Wayland videos, you mentioned the key binding blocking thing.
Yes.
I don't care because I don't use the keyboard for key binding. I'm a mouse user. So I'm like, okay, that would work for me, but where are my settings? My apps, like I tried to share a screen on Discord, it got a black screen. And I'm like, okay, you sold me Wayland. I can't use it. So back to X11 I go.
Wayland screen sharing works is probably the best way to put it. In very, very heavy air quotes. You need to have Pipewire installed. You need to have your portals working. You need to make sure a bunch of variables are being set in the background. Then it should work. Usually. Most of the time. Sometimes.
No, well, I tried doing it recently with someone. It just showed them a black screen.
Right.
So, although it's Nobara, and Nobara should have been shipped all the requirements, or is that something users have to do?
What were you trying to share the screen in? This was
Discord.
I think Discord might also specifically have some Wayland issues.
And I was using it as a Flatpak.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure that
oh wait, I should have. Oh, maybe it's a permission issue.
No, I think because Discord is built with an older version of Electron, their capture system doesn't work properly right now.
No, actually, Discord is now on using Electron 20.
Oh, did they update? Oh, I didn't hear about that.
19 or 20, yeah. Because I received the Electron 20 update via Flatpak, of course, because I'm using the Flatpak version of Discord.
Yeah.
But it showed Electron 20 and Discord app, so they were in the same update. So
wow.
Yeah. And now I can no longer build Deezer, for example, because Deezer is using Electron 13.
Ah.
And if I tell you what Deezer is on the AUR, you're going to laugh.
The name's ringing a bell.
Deezer is like, what's it called? Streaming music. What's it called? Spotify. It's like Spotify, but a different app.
Yep.
A different service. But basically what Deezer is on the AUR is a Windows setup program.
What?
If you try to build Deezer on your local machine instead of installing it directly from the AUR, you download the PKG build and you build it on your system, you're going to see Deezer-setup.exe. And what the build process does, because it's an extractable exe,
right.
so it's an archive, it extracts the exe, then bundles it up as an Arch package. Because there's no Linux version of Deezer. There's only a Windows and Mac version. That's it.
What?
So it's a Windows app running through Wine.
Okay, sure. We've gone back to the early 2000s where we would, if we wanted to run Netflix, we would run Firefox through Wine. What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, Deezer is like that. So,
yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Since it's relying on Electron 13 because what it does is it extracts all the components and then builds an Electron app.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at it right now. The first command in the prepare section of the AUR build script is 7z on the exe.
Yeah,
that's so
because it's
stupid.
a 7z extractable. There you go. You learned something about Deezer. It's a Windows app running through Windows Electron.
I love that. That's amazing. It's dumb, but it's amazing. I love that Archies will go through stupid hoops like this to get something working if they really want it.
They're doing the same thing now with Teams, since Teams for Linux is discontinued. Officially discontinued. The FlatHub are going to remove it from the They haven't removed it. They should, because it's no longer official, but they haven't removed it yet. Still waiting on that. But the Arch repository, AUR, still has, I don't know if they switched to the Windows version yet, or they're still shipping the Debian version. Or
At this stage,
like
they're using the Debian version.
The Debian version. But since it's going to be discontinued, the first people who are going to remove it from the repositories are the Debian people. Because, Microsoft has its hand somewhere in there. So I think the only workaround at that point for users, if users want to use Teams on Linux, is to ship the Windows executable through Wine. There's a lot of that on the AUR. If you don't pay attention to the PKG builds, this is one thing I would recommend anyone to do who are building from the AUR. Read the PKG build. If you don't read the PKG build, since the Arch user repository is not controlled or maintained by anyone, it's a trash bin of, not in a bad way, but it's a big box with random build scripts.
Sure.
If you don't read those build scripts, or if you don't understand how to read build scripts, ask someone who understands to read the build script for you, because you never know. You might end up with malicious code, because the GitHub does not scan everything. You can host a virus on GitHub and none is the wiser. So be careful, read the PKG build, pay attention to, go to the package GitHub. If you almost all packages on the AUR have a link to the project GitHub. Click on that, scan the code, read. Otherwise, if you install a package from the AUR and it ends up messing up your system, you only have yourself to blame. You did not read the PKG build. I have been through that, and I'm not going to tell you how much of a nightmare it is to get your system back up and running. There was one package that that wiped my Windows partition completely.
Wow.
I just installed it, and I wondered why it was taking a while. And then the next day I decided to boot into Windows. I was like, okay, it's Sunday. I need to update Windows, because Sunday we have free non-capped internet. I'm like, let me take advantage of that. Let me update Windows and my games, because I play games on Windows. I don't like playing games on Linux.
Fair enough.
Plus, because I'm a cheater, I run trainers in the background. So I tried to boot into Windows. Windows was non-existent. Even the drive was not showing. I was like, okay, it's one thing for Windows not to boot, but another thing for the drive not to show up in BIOS, on the BIOS. What that tweak did was disable that drive in the BIOS. I was like, good thing I figured it out, being a maintainer and all. But I was dumb not to have read the PKG build. What the PKG build was doing was downloading some sort of DLLs, and I was like, downloading a DLL on Linux? That doesn't sound right. And it was compiling something, and it was injecting something. And then I was like, delete that package all from the cache, from everywhere. And I tried to report it, but it went nowhere. The package is still there. I don't remember the name though, but it's still out there. I just did a issue on their GitHub. I was like, it did this, and that. They closed my issue without fixing it. They just hit close. Because it was supposed to nuke your drive. So people, please read the PKG build. If you don't, and it breaks your system, it's on you. You learn things like that by maintaining a distro. Because I build everything from the AUR and I put on my repository. If I don't read the PKG build, I'll be shipping something malicious to my users. So I build, I test, then I ship. There are some things I cannot test, like green with envy, because it's on the AUR, but I don't need it.
Right.
Because I don't have hybrid. Envy control, I can build it, ship it, but I cannot test it. I don't have hybrid. So there are some things that, but come on, envy control, it's a known package. I don't know why it's not on the public repositories. It should be, but Envy control is on the AUR, if I'm not mistaken, or is it only green with Envy? No, maybe I think it made no. Envy control just recently made it to the community.
Oh, okay,
repository.
that's a step up then.
Yeah, and green with Envy is on the AUR.
Mm.
Green with Envy is a tool that allows you to tweak your GPU.
Mm.
I want to understand why it stays on the AUR, because it's tweaking the GPU. It's not something they want to put on the public repos. Optimus, for example, Optimus should be on the public, but it's on the AUR.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Optimus Manager. It's on the AUR. Optimus Manager and Optimus Manager Qt. I had to build them and put them on my own repository to ship them to users.
Where the fuck's the packet? What? I can't find. Show me.
So
just show
Optimus,
me.
Optimus Dash Manager.
Ah, it is on. What the? What?
Yeah, and there are literally Optimus laptops in existence. Why aren't those packages on the main community repositories at least? No one knows.
Yeah, that one's weird to me. Like,
that's a driver basically. That's driver level software. But it's on the AUR, not on the main. And the guy I talked to the guy. He's like, I petitioned to go on the community repository. No reply. It's falling on deaf ears. So sometimes there are things that are odd, but that's Arch Linux. When you go Arch, it's as if going to a circus. You got clowns, funny, enjoyable. You can use it. On the other hand, you got scary shit, like all the issues that arise from like the flamethrowers and the knife throwers and all that. That's the issues, the Arch issues. So you're going to see all of them in one place in Arch. So don't blame a distro if something breaks along the lines, because everything that's being used on Arch-based distros, like me, like Arco, like Endeavor, they're all coming from Arch upstream. All we're doing is customizing the experience desktop level, but underneath it all, it's Arch. So issue A, issue B, issue C, D, whatever, it's all related to Arch. There are some times where it's related to the themes we're using, like Leyen theme. I use the Leyen theme with every release because it's my favorite theme. I discovered, and I reported it to the developers, and they're looking into it. They've been looking into it for a month now. I don't know why it's taking so long, but the Arch, the package from the AUR does not work. It installs the theme, you can apply the theme, but the KDE panel should have rounded corners.
Right.
But it's not. When you install the package from the AUR, it's not, and it's not transparent either. It should apply a certain amount of transparency as well. It's not applying it. Why? They cannot understand, because they read the PKG build. The PKG build is correct, but for some reason, it's not working. They don't understand why. But I need to have it as a package, because in order to ship it on my distro, I need it as a package. So I'm like, is there a solution? Not yet. We'll let you know when we come up with one. That's a month ago. I'm shipping it as is. Okay, no transparency. I'm not using the KDE panel anymore. I'm using LaTeDoc, so LaTeDoc is transparent and everything. And by the way, you know how people hate Flatpaks because they don't use the system theme?
Sure.
Fix that. There's an override you apply to the system that will force it to use any GTK theme that you have in your. Well, that's the problem with Flatpaks. For example, I ship with Leyen GTK. It will use Leyen GTK. But if you install a theme, you have to apply the GTK theme manually in the system settings for it to for Flatpaks. There's no way to tell a Flatpak which theme to use. It uses whatever GTK theme you have applied on the system. That's the override that I have applied. Because usually
another way to do it. I thought there was.
There's an official way to make Flatpaks use themes is by installing themes from the FlatHub.
Yeah, no, that's dumb. That's no.
Doesn't work because it's not system wide. So The only workaround is to apply an override. I have a guide on my forum. You apply override. That override is applied by default on Xero Linux. So they should use some Flatpaks. Still have this issue where they don't use the system theme. Still, some of them might have a dark theme toggle in settings somewhere, but I applied this thing. So, and I'm targeting Flatpaks now. In my tool, I offer more Flatpaks than regular packages. Like Brave, not from the AUR, but as a Flatpak. Ungoogled Chromium as a Flatpak, not from the AUR. The reason for that is friendly distro should be friendly. So
Sure.
if you ship you offer an option to users to install like a package as regular, which has dependencies and a lot of these issues, they have to jump through dependency hell. So sometimes Arch randomly decides, okay, that package should go to the AUR. But that package is a dependency of another package. Arch doesn't care. This package goes to the AUR. We don't care what it is for, what it's used by, whatever. It goes to the AUR. We don't like it on our main repositories. Their decision might be right or not. I don't know. But sometimes this happens, and it breaks that package. But what I like about Flatpaks is all containerized. So even, for example, some packages require an older version of that dependency. And Arch updates, but that package will no longer work if that package is updated because it only uses the older version. So with Flatpak, all is integrated. And now what I love about Flatpak is they're now shipping differential updates. Instead of re-downloading the whole 700 megs or 300 megs or 400 megs, it just downloads a few kilobytes as updates. So for that reason, I decided to ship in the tool more Flatpaks over regular packages. Even specifically for gaming. Lutris, Flatpak. What's it called? Not Steam. What's it called? ProtonUp, Qt, Flatpak. All the Minecraft clients, Flatpaks. What else? The thing that is like Lutris, what's it called? Do
you mean Bottles? Is that what you're thinking of?
Bottles as a Flatpak as well, and the other one, the long name.
A long name. I'm not sure what you're talking about then.
Well, anyway, so I ship those as Flatpaks. OBS Flatpak.
Yeah.
This is another thing about Fedora. Why about Nobara? Why didn't they ship the Flatpak version of OBS? I don't know.
Wait, it's not using the Flatpak version? What?
They use the regular version.
No, that's wrong. Just use Flatpak. Flatpak's the official version.
Yeah, exactly. How did I know? Because it was version 2.8.0, and the Flatpak was 2.8.0.1. So, and it didn't have the browser dock thing.
Really? Wait.
Yeah.
Wait, it's okay.
Basically, the Arch package.
No, I can understand why Arch breaks it, right? But Glorious Eggroll's the one who maintains Nobara. You understand the gaming side. You should understand this streaming issue and the reason why it's bad on Arch. Just use the goddamn Flatpak. Stop. Distros, please stop shipping broken versions of OBS. Just use the Flatpak. That's all you need to do.
And the nice thing about the Flatpak version is got all the necessary permissions because, Flatpaks sometimes require FlatSeal to give them the permissions, whatnot. But OBS ships with all the required permissions out of the box. No need to do anything. And it's very stable. It's amazing. I had less crashes with this version than I've had with any other version. And so I'm offering all these as Flatpaks. Okay, less categories, but more packages versus tons of categories, but less packages. But the users have the option. If the users still want to use a AUR version or a Arch version of a certain package, they can still do that via terminal, via PAMAC. I'm not forcing anything on the user. It's just I had a decision to make. In the tool, what should I offer?
Yeah.
And I started talking to my users, asking them, you prefer this, you prefer that. I took all users' feedback and then I compiled it in my tool and I said, okay, those are the packages I'm going to ship as regular packages, and those are the ones that I'm going to ship as Flatpaks. Mainly, the ones I ship as regular packages are tweaks, like TTY clock, like WTTR, like cool retro term, and C matrix, and stuff like that. Those will never make it to FlatHub. Those are tweaks. Those are terminals. So I'm like, okay, cool. So that's what you get. So all in all, today's discussion was issues, circumventing issues, the hard work that this causes for us maintainers. But if you don't see anything happen for you, that doesn't mean that we weren't the ones on the back end fixing those issues, so you don't see them. Sometimes we share those issues with you guys if it affects you in the end, but if it doesn't, we do our best to make things as seamless as possible. Arch is it's a tectonic plaque that keeps moving underneath your feet. If it breaks, don't attack the maintainer. Just mention it to the maintainer so the maintainer looks and does the research to figure out a workaround. So Arch, this is the nature of the beast. Please don't attack the maintainer. We are the connecting people between you and the Arch package maintainer or the Arch maintainer. So if you have any issues, report them to us. We will report them to the developers, and they will see how they can fix the issues. If they don't fix them, we try our best to fix them ourselves, implement some fixes of some sort. But yeah, let's just put it this way: August/September were not a great months to be on Arch. It was a bumpy ride. It's slowly being solved, and yeah, if you want to join the Arch people who use Arch-based distros, just expect those issues. Don't come with high expectations. Don't have high expectations with Arch. Expect issues. That's all I'm going to say.
One thing I did want to ask you about was the response that was initially provided by the Arch team. Like the sort of lack of response, the then pushing the issue off to someone else. In Foxbron's case, pretending like the issue didn't exist on base Arch Linux. What was your sort of initial reaction to the way that Arch handled the problem? Especially because they did handle the problem way later to everybody else. Obviously, they have their own concerns. Like, they are the ones who have to deal with the package itself. But what did you think about the response they took to the whole situation?
I usually take the neutral approach. I don't like to judge too harshly. I just was surprised. I was really surprised, but then I thought they might have a lot on their plate, so they're trying to shove it under the rug temporarily until they figure things out. So, but the way they started putting it on, the moment they started putting it on distro maintainers, that made me wonder. I was like, why is he putting it on us? I did the same research you did for the video. I understood one thing out of it is that yes, it is on distro maintainers to implement grub in a certain way. But when they came up with a solution, you do it yourselves. That just was the how we say in French, la goutte qui a débordé le vase. La goutte qui a débordé le vase. It's the thing that caused the water to seep out of the cup. So it was the thing that got me angry, because just telling the user to fuck off and basically and fix it on their own, read the terminal output, that was a little bit I don't know if facetious is the right word, but expecting too much out of users. Users don't read. Don't read. So don't implement this. Don't expect the user to read. Implement it better. I understand that this is the only solution for now, but don't implement it as haphazardly as you have in just the terminal output. Like you said earlier, either put it in red, different color, or make it a pop-up or something. But don't attack maintainers who came up with solutions. Like, we tried to come up with a solution as quickly as possible, and the hooks were the only feasible thing that we could come up with quickly.
Yeah.
So don't attack us for trying to come up with solutions, because the way you handle the situation is the way users behave on the forums. Like, when you go to the Arch forums, in a lot of parts of the forum, a user posts, "Okay, I'm having this issue. If you don't know how to fix it, you shouldn't be on Arch." Yeah, they handled it that way, kind of. No, you should own up to the issue and tell users to either instruct users to either stop updating Grub or come up with better solutions, not haphazardly solutions. The way it was handled via solution-wise was unacceptable. All this blaming other distros, it's not blaming other distros. It's like their way of... I consider people behind Arch or maintainers on Arch like robots. That's what I put in my head before I attack someone on Arch. Okay, problem A, solution A. That's they're like robots, because you have to think about it. They're continuously coding, continuously working, continuously coming. So it happens where they're burnt out and they want to get it over with. They come up with these answers. I don't disagree with that. The only thing I disagree with is the way you implemented the fix. You didn't go to the work, and then when we tried to offer you or to ask you if this fix was good or not, you just said, "Fuck off." No, that you attacked us immediately. So no, either fix it or just don't update Grub until you yourselves see that it's stable enough for users to switch to. You're not testing it correctly internally. So, okay, lucky BIOS users. Now the BIOS users are lucky because they never saw that issue. Even DT, he has a modern enough system, he still uses MBR for some reason. But he got lucky this time. But tell the UEFI users, don't update to Grub until we tell you to, or don't push the update until you think it's stable enough not to cause this issue. Don't. And this, they're not the only ones. There are other packages that switch to Git instead of the stable. So I'm like, what's happening in Arch? Recently, Arch has been in a kind of, I think they're currently in a turmoil internally or something. Something's happening we don't know about, we're not aware about. I'm not here to judge. It's just something must be causing all these issues in the back end we don't know about. So we're not. I don't think we should judge. The only thing we should say anything about is the way they came up with the fix. The fix is not acceptable. They have to undo all this and go back to the drawing board and start coming up with better ways of informing the user.
Mm-mm.
It's a communication issue. It's a problem with the communication on their end. That's all. It's not a problem with Grub because the Grub developers are doing things the way they should.
Mm-hmm.
They push a commit, they test the commit. It's on the Arch, and they're shipping that commit because in their eyes they have to fix the CVE issues before they fix Grub.
Mm-hmm.
And to them, too many CVEs in a package is not acceptable. So they ship, even if they have to switch to Git, they will do so without thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So please don't ship Git Arch. Just stick to a stable package, then ship the next version. But jumping from 2.06 to straight to 12, I don't know what happened in between. All the
Yeah,
versions
I
in
have no idea
between.
what's going on with the Grub. So I'm sure there's some reason why they took so long to release the next version, but I don't personally know.
We're not developers. It's all, they're not very transparent.
Mm-hmm.
That's one issue I have. They're not very transparent. Like I learned through other guys that you have to subscribe to GitHub, to package GitHub, and get notified of every single commit to stay up to date on every single commit. But my problem is I cannot understand everything I read. I'm not a
Right.
developer. I don't understand things like that. You have to dumb it down for me.
Mm-hmm.
But so far on the Grub side of things, they're fixing it.
Mm-hmm.
There has been 2 or 3 commits since, and glibc also 3 commits since. So they're actively working on it. But Arch is at fault here. We need to fix that thing. But other than that, I'm happy with the fixes we shipped, either with hooks or without hooks. But the fixes are there.
Mm-hmm.
Although we had to come up with them, not Arch. So, but I look at it as an opportunity to learn for us and for the users to start understanding the way Arch works. Yeah, but I'm not gonna judge too harshly. It's just the communication issue. That's
Mm-hmm.
how I see it between the maintainers and the Arch maintainers.
Well, the last thing I wanted to ask you about was I noticed on the Xero Linux website there is that major project announcement that you're basically dropping everything besides KDE Plasma and swapping from the monthly ISOs more towards the quarterly ISOs, which
Yeah.
I think considering like how small of a project it is probably it's definitely going to take a lot of weight off your shoulders, sort of splitting down what's going to be handled on what's going to be dealt with on your distro.
Okay. KDE Plasma has always been the only one. I just shipped XFCE and GNOME for a short while, trying to maintain them, but too much for one man to do. So I decided to kill them off. Plus, GNOME is not my thing, and
Fair enough.
from what I've seen, not a lot of people like it. As for XFCE, I only did XFCE because one person asked. They had a laptop from I think 2010, and they wanted to run Xero Linux. I was like, I'll try XFCE, but XFCE is too complex to everything. You right click and stuff. It was too complex for me, for a KDE user to handle. So I was like, stick to one thing and do it right. This is the Linux philosophy, isn't it? The new philosophy. So do one thing, do it right. So I'm shipping only KDE. As for the quarterly thing, it's not to remove weight off my shoulders. Is because if I keep shipping a monthly ISO, for me it's like users have certain expectations and changes in every month's ISO.
Right.
And then I looked at Manjaro, how they do things. Manjaro is adopted by a lot of users, and Manjaro hasn't included a major change in such a long time. The only major change that I noticed between 2015 and 2020 or 2021 was a live dynamic wallpaper inclusion. Now it's white for day and dark for night. So that's the only thing they included in the 2021 release. I was like, they can do it, if they can get away with that, why not me? So I decided on although they only release an ISO every month because it's for new installs.
Yeah,
So the new installs have the latest version of packages. But still, you install the distro, right after installing it, there are already updates. So it's pointless. Not really pointless, but to a certain extent. So I thought to myself, Arch being Arch, if I ship it once every 3 months, it's not really bad but it would be bad if I shipped it every 6 months or a year because it's a rolling distro. And if a user, for example, I uploaded the ISO today and downloaded it in a month or two, in 4 months, 5 months, post install, he will have like 6 gigs of updates.
Sure.
And that might break things. So I decided every 3 months. Why? Because if I want to introduce new features, that will give me time to test and over test and test again for the feature to be 100% stable. Like for the tool, for example, a new tool written in Rust now. It used to be written in YAD, very basic language, but now Rust, it's way better. So I needed the developer that did it for me because he has his own distro. He didn't have a lot of time to work on the tool, so by having 3 months, he was like, okay, that's enough time. I can release the tool by then. And he did. He did a very good job. So 3 months is testing period. I see it as a testing period for me, not removing anything off my shoulders. On the contrary, it's adding more to my shoulder because I will be testing more and more stuff.
Right.
But that gives me the time to test those things instead of hurrying everything up and releasing an ISO every month. But that's not to say that Xero Linux from this release onwards, which I'm going to release on Thursday, onwards, is going to become like Manjaro. Everything that I needed to be included on Xero Linux has been done. The tool is done, and the tool will get updated as time goes by, but that's just a package you will receive when you update the system. That's what Xero Linux will be. The releases every 3 months are going to be iterative updates, just package updates, and maybe under the hood fixes and tweaks. But other than that, that's it. From this month's release onwards, this is what Xero Linux is. I might change the wallpaper for Christmas, change the wallpaper for Hanukkah, for Easter, whatever, just to go with the period. But that's it. And it's going to be every 4 months, and you're going to get just iterative updates, no fresh installs required, because some users voiced their concerns, telling me, "Oh, I just installed your Xero Linux. Now you're telling me I have to do a fresh install to get the latest under the hood tweaks." I don't want that anymore. I hate people complaining about that. So in order to be able to be like that, I shouldn't do too much tweaking that require a fresh install. Just push the updates as packages. So basically slowly the whole system is becoming a package.
Right.
If you do it that way, you can push any changes to current users without asking them to do a fresh install. So that's it. Xero Linux from now on is going to be just iterative updates. I'm done with tweaking the system and changing the look, because you have to look at it that way also. If reviewers review this version of Xero Linux and you change the look completely later on, users are going to expect what they saw on the video. But when they install it, they get something completely different. That's not going to be very positive. So stick to one thing that works, and that's it. And make sure it works well. That's it. That's what I'm going to do from now on. And yeah, Xero Linux is going to be like that. I'm done introducing new features. I'm done trying to do things that I don't know how to do. and for a single user like myself who has no knowledge coding wise or development wise or drivers wise, I cannot reinvent the wheel. There are other distros out there like Manjaro, like Ubuntu, like the big distros out there that like Pop OS, like they come up with driver patches and things like that. If you want something like that, those are the distros for you. Xero Linux is not trying to reinvent the wheel. Xero Linux is for those people who love KDE and want to have a blank slate to start building on. That's it. And starting the December build, because every 3 months, so 3 months from this month is December, the December release, starting from the December release, I'm going to try a new method out. It's going to be a trial basis for 3 months. Xero Linux will become a build-only distro. For the ISO, it's going to be put on hold. If you want the distro, you should build it. In some cases, if you cannot build it, we might talk and I build you an ISO or show you how to build an ISO, or install Arch somewhere and build the ISO on. But it's going to be a build-only ISO for a short period of time. I want to see how that goes. I might do it for a month. I might do it for all 3 months. I'll see how it goes. But I want to teach people more about Arch. I want to get people to go low and dirty with Arch, see how it all functions. And it's very simple. It's just a couple of commands, you're done, it's building. But you have to be on an Arch-based distro, again, ignoring Manjaro. But if you have to be on an Arch-based distro, be it Arco, be it Endeavor, be it I don't know what else is on Arch. Anything on Arch. Ignoring Manjaro and Artix, because Artix no system D.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So besides those two distros, anything based on Arch, you can build Xero Linux on. If you don't have an Arch-based system, we'll talk. I might build an ISO for you. But for a month, for 30 days, I'm going to make it 30 days. December, mid-December to mid-January is going to be a build-only ISO. We'll see how that goes. If it goes negatively, I'll go back to the ISO. If it goes positively, I'll include it as an option, but the ISO will still be there. I just want to see how the build it yourself goes. I want people to learn Arch. I don't want people to just use Arch without learning. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. And this is the first time I announce it, so the people will heard it here first.
Well, that's as good of a place to end it as any. Hopefully that experiment goes well. Hopefully, people try it out and see how building it goes. Judging by some of the forum posts you put up, you seem like you're gonna have a well-documented way to do it, which is very important for something like that. And who knows, maybe someone's gonna go from that and say, hey, maybe I want to go and do my own thing now that I know how this ISO building process works. Maybe I want to try it out. That sounds like it could be fun.
That's the whole point. I want the people to learn and start, because at the end of the day, Xero Linux, if you can build Xero Linux, you can start modifying and forking it and making your own distro that suits you best. This is the whole point of Arch, is the learning curve. You learn. But like DT said, if you really want to learn Linux, you do LFS.
Don't do LFS. Don't. There's big waste of time. Do anything besides LFS. Spend your time building Arch ISOs.
Yeah, so Arch Linux is doing LFS the easy way. You have everything, the whole environment ready for you. You just have to configure the package list, and you build your ISO with GNOME, with LeftWM, with BSBWM, whatever you wish. This is what I want, because Xero Linux is not going to live forever.
Yep.
At some point, I keep saying this, at some point, which is for me very soon because of issues in my country, not because I don't want to. I'm not going to go through the details, but we're just gonna say that there will be a point because things are going backwards instead of forwards.
Mm.
Uh, we are currently on the hunt for someone who knows how to do this
Mm.
very well. Because we want someone to pick up the project, and make it continue, go on and on and on and on, become better and better, without changing too much the vision. But we're looking for such a person right now. I can no longer do it. We have a year left. So in that year, we're trying to find someone who can maintain the project and take it over, fork it. But anyone currently, the code is free. It's on GitHub. You can fork it right now. Fork it, modify it, rename it. Of course, you cannot release it as the same name. Fork it, build it, rename it, and do your own thing. It's there. The code has been on GitHub from day one. I don't understand why people haven't forked it yet. There's only one fork so far. You have Once I get the build only version of Xero Linux, maybe then people will start to understand and start forking and making their own version. Xero Linux is not forcing you to use KDE. It's what I prefer. That's how it is, but the code is out there. Remove KDE, put no. Remove KDE, put whatever you want. You just need to know how to do that. And I will have videos. Eric already has videos on that. I don't know if I should make videos. I'll just link to his videos on the forums. But just replace the KDE packages with GNOME packages, and you got GNOME. So with time, I'll try to my best to make it easier and easier for users to do so. But learn, fork, build. Please, the code is there. I'm not gonna charge you for the code. I'm not hiding the code. It's not a proprietary code. It's there for you to do that. So yeah, and good luck using learning, and we'll see how it goes with the build only method in December. It's a test that I think I will fail because users tend to want to download, use, done deal rather than having to build. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe December will prove me wrong.
Well, let people know where they can find Xero Linux, find the tooling, all of that stuff involved with the project.
All right. The Xero Linux website is xerolinux.xyz. The forums are linked on the website. You can find me on Discord. You can find me on Telegram, YouTube. Comment on the videos. And one last thing I want to say. I have a fundraiser running currently to help keep the lights on, because if you do research on Lebanon and the current situation Lebanon is in, you will understand why. The cost of doing this are rising to such an extent I can no longer afford it, or it's becoming more and more difficult to afford it. So hopefully, in the links in the description, there will be a link to the fundraiser. Any amount would do. If a lot of you donated just $1, that's enough. It might be enough to be able to sustain the project and to allow it to go on. That's about it.
I'll make sure that's linked down below. Just send me the link after the show's done. I'll put it down there. As for me, my main channel is Brody Robertson. I do Linux videos pretty much every day. Hopefully not talking more about Arch Linux issues, but we'll see how that goes. As for I've got a gaming channel that is Brody Robertson Plays. Right now I think I'm playing Cult of the Lamb and The World Ends With You. And then if you're listening to the audio version of this, the video version is available on YouTube. If you are watching the video, the audio version is available basically anywhere you can find a podcast. There is an RSS feed, so just chuck it into your favorite app and you'll be able to grab whatever you want to grab. Do you have a final word? What do you want to say?
It's been great as usual talking to you, and keep up the great work. I just missed one thing. You don't make a lot of app videos as often as you usually do.
Yeah, I'm very aware. People have mentioned this. I enjoy the app videos, but there's so much other stuff to talk about. That's the thing. Like,
Yeah, but it's good to be varied. It's like
Mm.
do like one or two app videos in a week while you do the rest of the stuff around it. But yeah, you did the PackSeek recently, the one I told you about. There's a lot of other neat tools.
Well, I've got a video
I'll
in the
I'll
works
keep you
on
up with a few.
DistroBox, for example. That's one I really want to talk about.
Yeah, and I'll send you a few neat ones
Mm.
later on. You need to check out because as I maintain Xero Linux, I discover a lot of tools. So yeah,
Awesome. I'll
I'll send
definitely be
you a
willing to at least
few.
check them out.
All right.
Cool. Well, that's gonna be it for me then, and I'm out.